Well, this has been pretty much my primary project recently. The homemade UTV buggy, basic utility vehicle. So there's quite a bit of legroom there with the seats. I think they're almost all the way back right now. There's quite a bit of legroom in the front. There's not a lot of legroom in the back. With the seats back like that. There's the difference there. That one's almost all the way back, and this one is all the way forward. Once again, there's the difference. That one's not all the way back, but it's pretty much all the way back. It's all the way back except for one notch forward. So that's the difference there. This roll bar is like almost right beside your shoulder on the seat here. Oh, hey Buster. Oh yeah. And this one here is ahead of the shoulder of the seat because the seat is slid back. I think it'll go back a little more. I think that's all the way back now. And the roll bar is quite a bit ahead. You can see the difference there also. And the backs are adjustable, like the backs tilt ahead and back. They don't tilt all the way ahead like a two-door. They don't fold ahead, but they fold back quite a bit. And yeah, what do you think about that? I need to do some leveling on the seats. So I need to put some spacers under the inside rails. But I was thinking about spacing the whole seat up higher. Not too high, maybe a few inches. I've been doing, started doing some more rivets here on the ass end, so I can get that job out of the way. I'm using aluminum rivets. I should probably be using steel rivets, but oh well. Almost an inch of spacers on the inside rails. Only the driver's seat for now, and it's just finally starting to look level. Well, I got both the seats bolted down permanently, and I'm not gonna bother spacing them all up. They're a little bit low to the ground, but I want the center of gravity to be low since it's spring over. The leaf spring is over top of the rear end, so it sits up pretty tall. I don't want it to be tippy or anything. Honestly, it's pretty wide, and I think it's wide and low, but I just want to keep the center of gravity down, so I'm not going to bother spacing the seats up completely. I used 1-inch spacers on the inside rails because they need them there to be level. So they're level now. This one is slid back, so they're in different positions right now, but they fit pretty good. They fit pretty good. Yeah. I found a steering rack And this is it here. I got it loose on there for now, and it's like the perfect width. I haven't adjusted. You can adjust both ends and make them wider and adjust your alignment and whatnot. I didn't adjust it at all, but it's almost perfect width. Steering shaft is probably gonna stick up about, I don't know, about that much. I'm just trying to hold it up right now with a jack and a jack stand and get it into position where it's hopefully where its final destination is going to be. And it was held, it had these mounts that come with it, so I might just use some U-bolts. I might be able to reuse these actually. Well, this here is a steering rack from a 2017 John Deere UTV. No, I'm just joking. It's from a 89 Ford Tempo. 89 Ford Tempo. I tell you what. No, there, they circled the problem right there. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, so this is from a 1989 or 87 Ford Tempo. I do declare 89 Tempo. It's in really good condition, and the the tie rod ends are still like new. They're like brand new on it. And it's a hydraulic rack, but I won't be putting any hydraulic power to it, so I might just loop this here and around in a loop so the oil can just stay in there. And yeah, it's going to be pretty easy to mount. There's a clamp that clamps here, clamps on this side here like that, and there's a rubber there that for that one, and there's a clamp for this side here, and the rubber's already into it. So I just gotta make a couple plates. I think gotta make a couple plates and probably just bolt it with these or put some U-bolts around it, and that should be pretty easy. Holy shit. Looks like he's got a wife now. He looks like he's starting a family. Oh my goodness. There's friggin' bees living inside of my junk buggy. What the frig? And they're multiplying. There was only one and now there's two. While I'm supposed to be working on the steering right now, I'm just kind of having a coffee break. Feed the old caffeine addiction. And I'm just coming to, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be able to fit 4 bucket seats. If this seat was shoved ahead all the time, there might be room for 4 bucket seats, but it's going to be tight in the back. You never know, I might be able to wrangle them in there, but I'm kind of switching my mind a little bit, and I'm thinking either jump seats in the back like the small extended cab trucks have, like the same as probably a Ford Ranger or something similar, a small extended cab truck, a back seat out of one of those, or a Jeep. They seem to be nice and compact, those types of seats. So yeah, from this bar and back is going to be cargo box. So I can probably make this work. It's supposed to be a crew seater, so seat 4 people and cargo. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the seats. I don't know what would be the best, either jump seats or a Jeep seat. I'm not too sure about the bucket seats. I don't think they're going to fit. 4 bucket seats was the plan originally, but I think the bucket seats, they stick out too far this way, too far ahead, so there wouldn't be much leg room. I was talking to a guy yesterday that was looking at my UTV buggy project, and I was talking about how tight the back seat was going to be, and he said try a Jeep seat. And they do have the Jeep seats fit in between these wheel wells here. This one is full of junk, but anyway, so I took the measure tape here and I measured. I think mine is 30. I think the gap that I have for my seats is 39 inches, and in between the fenders here on the Jeep YJ, it's 36 inches. So the back seat out of one of these would be perfect. Well, this rack is in really good condition for its age, but it's almost perfect width, although it does need to be adjusted a little bit. I'm going to have to adjust it in, so I'm going to loosen the tie rod ends and bring them in just a little bit, and I'll probably leave them loose so I can do my alignment easier later on. And I'm going to be converting it to manual, so I'll have to address these lines here, and these lines here, I want them to be down below this rubber, or the top of this rubber, so I might bend them down or flip them upside down or do something there to make it work. Alright, so these 2 lines here, I took them off because they were coming out up here, and I'm going to make a mount. I'm going to build a mount here, and I want to slide it in. I want to put the rack in from underneath, so I don't want any lines or anything in my way here. So I took them off and I flipped them upside down, and I had to do a little bit of bending and stuff to get them where I want them, so I can build a flat mount and I can put some U-bolts in from underneath, and yeah, so I can have a flat mount on the frame and come underneath with some U-bolts, and I'll have no obstructions. So now I need to go ahead and build some mounts. I think I'm going to use this 1.5 inch angle iron, and I'm just going to build a piece that goes from down here where my finger is. From this, there's a cross member there that supports the spring, so I'm going to go from there back to the next cross member, and I'm just going to build a straight bar, and another one where those yellow marks are, another straight bar there, and I should be able to just put my U-bolts through that straight bar and put the nuts on top. Alright, I've tack welded some angle iron down below, and those pieces there, they go in line here, and they're slightly offset to the passenger side, just slightly, because of this mount here is offset slightly because of the input shaft. So I'm gonna have a smaller clamp here and a bigger clamp here. It just clamps around there, and it's gonna be, it clamps something like this, like an exhaust style clamp, and it'll be mounted very similar to this front spring with those U-bolts from underneath. It's pretty much the same as the rear end also. And I just got them tack welded for now, those angle irons underneath. They're just tack welded until I make sure the fitment is good, and then I'll finish the welds. Miserable as frig outside today. The weather's been pretty crazy lately. It's been like almost 30 degrees hot every day, Celsius, but we've also been getting like a rainstorm almost every day, so it's weird. It's been really hot and sunny, and we've been getting these thunderstorms, but there hasn't been nothing in between. Like, there hasn't been any cloudy days. It's either really hot or really rainy, or both in one day. It's really weird. So anyway, I got the two nuts on there and the U-bolt underneath just to mock it up. And the bracket, that angle iron there, it's only tacked in position for now. But this is coming out, this is working out really good. There's lots of room around here for steering shafts, and it's going to be lots of room between here and my dash. So this is working out really good so far. So I've got these two sides, or I've got these two drilled for the U-bolt, and the U-bolt is actually in there right now. Just it's only in there loose, and I'll just leave things loose so I can mock up the other side. And the other side is right here, and I've drilled one hole there, and I measured how far back it was from the spring, or from the spring bracket on both sides, try to make it nice and straight. So I got one more hole to drill. I got to drill one more hole here. But so far I'm really satisfied. I'm really happy with how this is working. Alright, the steering rack is, I got all the holes drilled. 2 on this side with a U-bolt up through, and 2 on this side. Can't tell, can't see. It's really dark, but 2 on that side also. The U-bolt goes up through there and up through there. And the muffler bracket, this top bracket here, I left it on there because there's a flat mounting on top. So I used the whole clamp, the U-bolt and this top bracket. So this side clamps onto the rubber mount, and on this side here I took the rubber mount off, and I should still get a good grip. And and it's a little bit adjustable because I'm using clamps, so I can actually turn it a little bit back or a little bit ahead. I can turn it within those U-bolts slightly. So what I need to do now is make a couple spacers or some washers or something, and I'm gonna put some washers between the nut and the bracket that I made that this sits on. I'm gonna put some spacers, so that'll bring it down a little bit. I don't need to bring it down much, but this is really close to the bottom of my frame here, and it's only rubber and it's flexible, so the rod inside is not it's not touching the frame. But if I tighten these nuts up and if I draw it up tight, I'm afraid it might. So it'll be fine. Once I put some spacers under it, it should be good. Alright, the rack is mounted. It should be in her final destination there, and she's bolted down tight and secure. She's not going anywhere. I got this tie rod end is on there, but I can't find I don't have the proper nuts for that. So I've just got some nut on there temporarily, just to hold it from dropping out or falling out. This kingpin here is loose. If it looks like it's cockeyed, it probably is. I'm waiting for some lock nuts so I can fasten them better underneath. But anyway, back to the steering. I've got the tie rod ends are in. You see that rubber boot on that one? This one here is missing, but that's no big deal. The tie rod end is good, and I can put a rubber boot on it. And all the joints in the rack are good, nice and tight. This side here, I had loosened it earlier and moved it in about half of the available threads. And this side here, I have not loosened it, and I have not moved it. And that side, since I have not moved it yet, this side I have. So before I can set the alignment, I'm going to move this side in a bit and try to get them equal, since I haven't since I have tucked this side in or moved this side in, but I haven't moved this side in. So I'm going to try to make them equal and check the alignment. Right now, the wheels are pointing in at the front, so because the rack is a little bit wider than my vehicle, but once I adjust this side, I'll have a better look at it and I'll do a better alignment. Okay, here I am on the passenger side. I've backed off the lock nut and I loosened it about halfway of the available threads, same as I did on the opposite side. So I should be able to take the whole tie rod, since I have the tie rod end in. I could take that tie rod end out and turn it, since it's not tight. But this is how you would align it if the tie rods were hooked up. So I'm going to tighten this side up until half of those available threads are gone, and that'll pull the alignment closer to where I need it to be. Pull the backs of the wheels closer together. Okay, I adjusted these here almost as far as they go. There's only a couple threads left there, and there's only a couple threads left there. But I ran out of threads in the tie rod end. the tie rod end only has so many threads, and then it bottoms out. So I've got them tightened all the way, and I still need more. The tires still aren't straight. So I'm either going to have to take this tie rod and shorten it, like take about 1 inch out of it, or I could cut the end off so the threads will go in further, or cut the end off of this tie rod and unscrew the tie rod end first, cut some threads off, and then screw it back on again. That way I can get a little more adjustment. Also, this lock nut here, it'll only go about that far. Okay, so I opted to trim the end off of here. Sorry about the focus. I trimmed the end off of there, and I think I've got the end cut off. Anyway, about this much. I cut about that much off of both ends. So what that will allow me to do is that'll allow the tie rod end to go on further before it bottoms out, because they were bottoming out in the bottom, they weren't going on all the way before they hit bottom. Another thing I did was, see how it's all shiny on the end here? I grinded it all down a little bit, and what that does is it'll let it go on further before it hits the nut. And over on the passenger side, I've already got the passenger side done. It seems to me that that's enough. That's enough to get the alignment good enough. So both wheels are fairly straight to the eyeball, and I can do a better alignment later after I've put the lock nuts on the kingpins, because I think this one here is a little bit loose, and I need to put the nuts on the ends here. Alright, well, she's not sitting level at all right now, and I got it up on jack stands, but I've got the weight sitting on the wheels now, and the tie rod ends are on, and the steering rack is on. Yeah, so that's what the suspension looks like. I actually sort of duplicated something similar to what they have on the club car golf carts. Not the Easy Go golf carts, but the club car golf carts. They have a transverse leaf spring and separate upper control arms. They have something similar to this. So yeah, it seems to work alright. I've got the seats positioned about midway, so they're not all the way forward, but they're not all the way backward either. They're sitting about the middle. They have quite a bit of adjustability. So right now they're somewhere in the middle, and that's from where that flag is hanging down. That's the back bar, so that's the back seat can't go any further back than that. So that's how much room there is for the back seat with the seats in midway. They do slide ahead quite a bit, but I don't want to sacrifice too much leg room. So I know it's hard to keep everybody happy in the front seat and the back seat in such a small package, but I'll see what I can do. And the shifter, with the seats midway, the shifter comes up almost straight, but then it bends backwards here, this factory shifter. So I've got it in neutral right now, and I'm gonna unbolt the shifter and see if I can straighten it. Alright, sitting in the pilot seat here, and I got good news and bad news. It's a little bit dirty in there, but good news is, here's the shifter. Now, see how there's one bolt at the bottom and two at the front? So, with this shifter, one at the bottom and two at the front, it tips back, and I didn't like that. I was going to straighten it out because it tips back like that. I was going to put it in the vise or heat it up or probably make a mess of myself. So here's the good news. The good news is this piece on this end is perfectly symmetrical. So while you cannot flip the whole thing around because the bolt pattern would be different. However, once it's unbolted like this, I found that you can turn, see if I can do it while I'm holding the camera, get the seats all dirty at the same time. You can turn the entire shifter inside of this. So what I've done is I've turned it around 180 degrees, and this piece is still symmetrical. So the good news is I can bolt it on and it'll be pointing forward now instead of backwards. And that was the easiest modification I've ever seen on a shifter. That was too easy. Now the bad news is I noticed the shifter was a little bit sloppy. There's a bushing here, this nylon bushing, and I found it down inside. So this nylon bushing is broken. It's supposed to stop the end play, and on the shaft there's one there too. And I noticed it's almost broke right off. So the good news is the shifter is already modified. I just turned it around and it was really, really easy. Now it's pointing forward, and that's what I wanted. Done. But the bad news is that bushing is not going to last long. It's already falling apart. I'll have to see if I can get one. Alright, I got the shifter mounted in there now, and it used to point down and towards the driver, but now I flipped it around, it points up and towards the passenger, which gives me a lot of room on my side. But when I'm in like third gear and fourth gear, shifter's gonna be closer to the passenger. So I might have to bend it this way a little bit. It points forward now in the forward direction, which is good. But I don't know yet. That's first gear is pretty much straight. It should be leaning over towards me a little bit, I think, to make room for passenger. However, reverse on this transmission, you have to push in, over, and up. So that's reverse, closer to the driver. I can work with that for now, I guess. Frig, not too bad. Maybe I am learning something. Well, as usual, I'm jumping around from project to project, and now that I've got my steering rack mounted, in its final destination. I'm going to take a break from the steering for now and do something different. I'm still waiting to get some, I think they're metric nuts. Canada. Alright, I went and got some more of this rusty angle iron here. It says Canada on it, and I'm gonna make a piece that fits between this front gap here, and it bolts in so it's removable. It's gonna overlap probably 3 inches on each side, maybe 2 inches on each side. I just had the measuring tape going across here, and the bee he actually came out, and he was sitting on the end. I think there's 2 of them in there. If you followed any of the build videos, first I found a nest in there, and I thought it was empty. I even poked it with my finger when I first put this steel rack on the front here. And then a couple days later, there was 1 bee in there, and now I think there's 2 bees in there. And I don't know, I might have to evict them. Anyway, I just made this piece up here. It goes across the front, and I got a feeling they're not going to like this. So there should be, those yellow marks should indicate close to the end. It's about 2 1/4 inches on each side. And I want this to be removable to make it easier to access the engine, just in case it needs to be worked on later. Okay, now I have a removable front support. So I've welded on this piece down here, and I drilled a hole here and a hole here, and I've made some marks up here. This is my final destination for my headlights. So I decided that my headlights are gonna go. I decided that they're gonna go right around there somewhere. Something like that. Yeah, somewhere right around there. But I made something for here, and I wanted it to unbolt. That's why I put the holes here. So I started making this. And it sits on there like that. And it bolts in. Ooh. When it's in line, bolts in there. There. You can reach in underneath here and put a nut on there, but there's also a bee's nest in there, so I've kind of been avoiding it. And down below here, I could have welded these plates. I could have welded them to this little bumperette. I could have welded them, but I wanted it to unbolt. Well, this part here I already made it so it unbolts. So I figured I could weld that because it already unbolts. So it is removable still, but down below here, there wasn't really enough plate room. There wasn't enough room to put a bolt through, I don't think. There might have been enough room. So what I did was I welded these I don't know, C channels on, and then I can put a bolt, good 3/8 bolt, or yeah, I can put a good bolt through there. And also, I've been using this top plate to align my headlights. So it goes something like that, and this lines up somewhere around here. Yeah, something like that. And these are like, you can tell these are like old brackets off of a shelf or something. So I'm going to trim them, but this angle that comes back is not bad. So you can see here where it comes back on an angle where the headlight is, and I can make that work. It almost matches the headlight angle. So I'll just trim these top pieces off. Trim these top pieces off. Something. Chop those off. Alright, I put the headlights where their final destination is, where I marked it out earlier, and I bolted in the top plate, or the bolt is actually under the headlight so you can't see it, and drilled the holes for the bottom plate here and here.